COVID crisis in our state. More than 6,000 new cases in just the last 3 days. So what's behind the sudden climb? We're breaking down the data.
Mask 101, new at 6 o'clock, how to tell if the face mask you're wearing is worn out and how often you should really be replacing them.
Budget talks officially in the books, but there's already new backlash.
We could pass an income tax, a capital gains tax, maybe even a wealth tax.
Why? So community members say Seattle City Council members didn't go far enough.
But first, we are taking you live over Snoqualmie Pass right now. The mountain passes could get hit with more than a foot of snow in the coming hours, and the timing couldn't be worse for people who are still trying to hit the road for Thanksgiving. Meteorologist Kristen Clark breaks down when all of our winter weather is going to hit. Hey, Kristen.
Hey, Kelly, that's right. Good morning, everybody. For now, a clear sky was reported at Snoqualmie Pass, so literally we are looking at the calm before the next round of heavy snow in the mountains and also a widespread soaking rain in the lowlands that's just beginning with a few areas of light drizzle for Puget Sound on this morning's commute.
And if you live in the North Sound, feeling your pain this morning, that's because I-5 and State Route 526 looking like a parking lot this morning. This is in the southbound lanes because up ahead, Washington State Patrol needed to stop traffic to allow a large tow truck move into position to remove another big rig that had stalled. Taking a look at our traffic maps right now, and that backup now stretching about 3 miles right now, so keep that in mind if you're headed southbound on I-5.
New overnight homicide detectives investigating a deadly shooting in Kent. A 911 call about gunfire came in last night from 282 Street south of Lake Meridian. When officers arrived there at around 8 o'clock, they found a man behind some bushes with a gunshot wound. He died at the scene. Police searched the area, but they didn't find anyone else. They're now asking for help from anyone who may have seen or heard something. The man who died is in his early 20s. His name has not been released. Developing now, health leaders are warning the COVID-19 pandemic is on the verge of spiraling out of control as more states run low on hospital beds. The U.S. is now on track to see 200,000 daily coronavirus infections. Right now, we're averaging 167,000 new cases nationwide per day. For the 14th consecutive day, the country has set a record for the number of people in the hospital with COVID, nearly 86,000 just yesterday alone.
Well, the number of cases also spiking in our state. The Washington State Department of Health reporting more than 6,200 new COVID-19 infections over the last 3 days, bringing our total statewide to more than 147,000 confirmed cases. So what are the factors driving up these numbers? We go live to Coleman's Denise Whitaker to find out. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning. COVID hospitalizations are now at a new daily high, and this terrible milestone comes as we head into another opportunity for massive spread of this virus. Those Thanksgiving gatherings. 784 people are now being treated in hospitals right now, according to the COVID Tracking Project. That puts intensive care units at most medium and large hospitals in our state at 80% capacity. That's forcing some hospitals to transfer patients to other facilities. Also, they're canceling some elective surgeries, even including those for cancer patients. A surge in cases in Whatcom County now pushing St. Joseph's Hospital up to 85 to 90% of its capacity.
We have 22 beds that we have allocated for COVID patients. It's when we have 18 patients, how does that impact us? On any given day, St. Joe's is taking care of a lot of patients who come with strokes, heart attacks, pneumonias, stomach problems. So we have a lot of patients who need us. So any given day, we are seeing a lot of patients who are not just COVID positive.
And 1 week ago, they only had 5 COVID patients. So that's how much it has surged just there at St. Joe's. So what's causing this surge? Actions and behaviors. I just checked the state's breakdown of cases, and right now the age group with the most positive cases at 40% are those ages 20 to 39, and 40 to 59-year-olds are next, making up 28% of the cases. State Health Officer Dr. Kathy Lofi says she has grave concerns about the skyrocketing transmission rate getting even worse over the next few weeks if people gather now for Thanksgiving.
All right, thanks, Denise. In about 2 hours from now, healthcare workers from Multicare's Indigo Urgent Care Clinics will return to the picket lines. This morning marks day 2 of their demonstration demanding stronger safety measures. They claim Multicare isn't providing PPE such as N95 masks or respirators when treating COVID-19 patients or giving coronavirus tests. Those workers also say they're working long shifts with no breaks. Multicare released a statement saying, in part, current PPE practices reflect our commitment to science and the latest research, and we disagree with the union's characterizations that our urgent care team members have no access to sufficient supplies of appropriate PPE.
At the live desk now, let's take you live to Portland this morning. Healthcare workers are sounding the alarm in Multnomah County. County health officials believe their hospital beds could be maxed out in 1 week. The county's top doctors say hospitals may be at capacity by December 1st there. They say if they hit capacity, hospitals will begin putting beds anywhere they can. With December 1st only a week away, health professionals are urging people to scale back their social gatherings right now.
Well, $800 million. That's how much a 4-week shutdown on indoor service at restaurants and bars will cost statewide. Here in downtown Seattle, as you get a live look right now, dozens of restaurants have already closed their doors, with many on the brink of shutting down for good. The Washington Hospitality Association is urging state lawmakers on both sides of the aisle to come up with ways to support restaurants, hotels, and other hospitality businesses. Governor Jay Inslee announced last week there will be an additional $70 million in grants for businesses, as well as $65 million for loans and other assistance federal money appropriated through the CARES Act. However, the Washington Hospitality Association says that would only cover about 2 days of losses. After months of debate and protest, Seattle's budget is in the books.
Yeah, the budget cutting funding to SPD and giving more money to homeless resources, but activists say they want more. Como's Lee Stowe's live with what they plan to keep fighting for. Good morning, Lee.
Yeah, good morning. Well, Seattle PD's budget is going to be cut, but new officers could be in uniform next year. The most urgent issue, it seems, is what to do with millions of dollars now earmarked for communities of color.
In an email, Mayor Jenny Durkin says she supports the $6.5 billion budget passed by City Council. Seattle PD's budget will be cut by 18%. Much of that money coming from moving 911 services and parking enforcement out of the PD budget. A record number of officers left the force over the last few months, and now there will be a push to move that money to the PB, or participatory budgeting process for community-based solutions. But activists did not get an officer hiring freeze.
But this is the first time, and this is the first budget building on the work of so many other people, that we're actually seeing SPD's budget decrease.
$30 million will be earmarked for communities of color. New money will also be going to support affordable housing and homeless services. Community groups are pushing for more. They want new taxes to pay for services like universal broadband and childcare. They also want to make it harder for prosecutors to jail people for criminal activities connected to poverty, drug addiction, or mental illness.
This year, not only will we have an unprecedented amount for participatory budgeting, we'll also be really focused on having equity be at the center.
Now, there is a public safety committee hearing on December 8th to look at possibly changing the municipal code. Along with the vote yesterday, there was something else that's going to impact Seattle drivers, people who own a car in the city. There was a new fee that was passed, and coming up at 6:45, get ready for some math. We're going to take a look at how much it's going to cost you and why it may not be as much as you would think. Back to you.
Okay, now to meteorologist Kristen Clark with a weather quickcast. And Kristen, bracing for that next storm.
Yeah, very changeable weather today, Ryan, up at the passes. Actually expecting more rain than snow throughout the majority of the day. So travel not all too bad here during the daylight hours. It's once the sun sets later on this afternoon that we anticipate a change over to snow. That could be heavy at times, reducing the visibility, resulting in snow-covered roads and certainly slow going over the passes by tonight. So travel weather forecast for today. Warm enough initially with these temperatures holding just above freezing to support more of a rain-snow mix, so more wet than white, at least for the next couple of hours. But it's later on today around 5, 6 o'clock that we see that complete changeover to snow that will begin to pick up in intensity throughout the overnight hours. And it starts this morning. Already getting reports of very light drizzle in and around Puget Sound. We had a light shower move on through Renton, now into Maple Valley. Also Bremerton reporting very light rain. And the showers have begun as well across the Olympic Peninsula, all with the approach and passage of a warm front, resulting in rising snow levels throughout the day. And the reason that we will initially see rain along the passes here throughout the afternoon, but it's the trailing cold front that's to follow that lowers those snowfall levels considerably back down to the passes by this evening. So looking at the next couple of hours, mostly cloudy, temperatures holding around 50 degrees by 11 o'clock. It's not until around the early afternoon that we start to see the showers develop, beginning to pick up in coverage and intensity by 4 o'clock this afternoon. And around that time, the breeze will also begin to strengthen across Puget Sound. Could see gusts easily up to 20 miles per hour. Stronger winds as you travel north of Everett across Whidbey Island, western Skagit, Whatcom County. Could see gusts there maybe over 40 miles per hour. So today's temperatures hold in the upper 40s, low 50s, a bit milder compared to yesterday once we get behind the warm front. And this storm passes by tonight. The winds calm considerably tomorrow, but ongoing showers can be anticipated for Wednesday. And happy to say that Thanksgiving Day looks quite nice. Mostly cloudy, but at least we'll have a dry holiday with a high of 48.
All right, good weather, always good news. We have some less than ideal news, though, if you are headed southbound on I-5 leaving the Everett area. Right at that interchange of 526 is earlier where we had this a big rig that was stalled. It was blocking all lanes, so they had to bring in a tow truck to try and clear that out. We're at least hearing that those lanes have reopened, but the backup is significant. At least 3 to sometimes 4 miles is how much it stretched at one point, but traffic is flowing, albeit very slowly. Give you a look at the maps right now. You can see that southbound direction on I-5, very slow right now. We'll keep eyes on that for you, let you know if it eases up any. The good news is we just have some moderate slowing on northbound I-5 through downtown Seattle. The southbound direction looking great. Floating bridges, eastbound, westbound are looking wonderful right now. We just have a little bit of tapping of the brakes on northbound 405 as you leave the Renton area. Quick check of the South Sound right now in Tacoma. Northbound I-5 past the Tacoma Dome. A little bit of slowing as you get closer to Federal Way, that southbound location too. And northbound 167 out of Puyallup is facing significant slowdowns as well.
Well, time is now 6:10. We need COVID relief right now. Local lawmakers pleading for a new stimulus deal, saying millions of people statewide are hanging on by a thread. Why some argue a special session would be all for show. And we're taking you live over Washington, D.C. The transition of power now underway 3 weeks after Election Day. But that doesn't mean President Trump is going down without a fight. New details from Capitol Hill. That's coming up next.
KOMO News is brought to you in part by Community Health Plan of Washington.